Ladies and gentlemen, will you please join me in welcoming Ambassador Ron Kirk.
Bill, thanks so much for your good words, your kind introduction. Thanks to you and Bob Vastine, all the members of the Services Industry Coalition for being the persistent drum leaders that you are for a rational, thoughtful approach to expansion of the service industries and inclusion in our trade policy. And we're grateful to you for all that you do to keep this on the top of our agenda. Good morning, first of all. How are you? Somebody reasonably awake? Okay. Well, I'm thrilled to be here, see so many friends. It feels like this has been the longest 4 years of my life. Peter Cowie, though, reminds me it's only been 18 months, but what a whirlwind 18 months that it has been. And I'm pleased to see my good friend Peter Cowie, who's the Dean of International Studies at the University of California, San Diego. Peter spent a year on leave in academia to come and help us as we were putting our office together. So I hope you would join me at least at an opportunity, first opportunity I've had to thank Peter for his service and contribution. We're also pleased to be joined by a number of my colleagues from around the world who also recognize the value and the importance of the service industries to our economies. Others will be joining us later, but we have with us now my colleague, Minister Mustafa from Malaysia. We are thrilled to have him here. And we are also pleased to have one of our newest colleagues, I think appointed just 2 months ago by the new leadership in Australia. He is new in this capacity, but not at all unfamiliar to the world of trade, having served in that capacity in a previous administration, but help me welcome Dr. Craig Emerson from Australia. Craig, I think we'll be joined later by, we have colleagues in from India, our new colleague from Mexico. I hope you'll have an opportunity to meet Minister of Economy Ferrari. We have ministers from New Zealand, Lord Britain from the United Kingdom joined us for dinner. I don't know if he's here, but I think you will, I hope you will put the appropriate value on the participation of these colleagues, particularly those who have come so far, as to how important and how seriously we take this subject. I know you'll also hear later from other members of the administration as well. It is so good to be back with you. It's always good to be among friends and leaders who understand the value of this sector of our economy. I want to assure you that we get it within the Obama administration every day. Those of us who work on the economic side of this administration, I would say all of us, are sobered by two realities. One, that everything we've done to keep this economy from going over a cliff, frankly, just has not been enough. And a 9% while we're proud, we believe that the seeds of this economic recovery are real. We believe all of the investments that we've made in reforming health care, saving the banking industries, and putting in financial reform, credit card reform, all going to be the foundation of a solid economic recovery. But we're confronted by one hard reality that a 9.5% unemployment rate is just simply unacceptable, not only to most Americans, but to those of us as well. We're also comforted and motivated a little bit when we look at the economic data, and it's pulled apart by economists. They tell us a couple of consistent things. Notwithstanding the American public's appreciation of recovery, there's really two things driving our economic growth right now. One is government spending, but you and I know in this constrained economic environment, the likelihood of another massive stimulus is just not something we can count on. But secondly, exports. Our exports are going up. Our exports are going the right way. Exports very much punch above their weight, and within that, our exports and services is a big part of that success. We know that services are overlapping and often complementary, and they are like stitches in the fabric of our global economy that hold everything together. Financial services like banking and insurance help businesses and entrepreneurs obtain the needed capital to grow, and they offer security in the case of unforeseen events. Logistics and express delivery services connect people, places, and things from every corner of the globe. And information and communication services drive expansion of knowledge and accelerate the flow of commerce and ideas. I've had an opportunity to view all of these elements firsthand. I've been on an extensive domestic travel trip for the last 9 months with the practical reality that if we're going to move forward on a much more proactive trade agenda, that as much fun as it is for me to go to Geneva and Paris, that I needed to be in Michigan and Maine and the Carolinas and Florida, Texas and Wisconsin. So we had a great seminar at Google 2 weeks ago with a number of representatives across the board in the services industries. I stood on the docks of the Port of Baltimore and had an opportunity to witness firsthand the power of exports to drive their economy, and I've done the same in Maine and Texas and Seattle and all across this country. So I know how services helps to fuel economic growth, development, and job creation. Now it almost seems laughable to this group in particular that not too long ago services were not given their due in trade policy creation. In fact, someone once said that trade in services was actually called invisible trade by international economists. Well, thank God those times have changed. As part of President Obama's fresh approach to our trade policy, USTR has consistently called on our trading partners to recognize the significant role of services. The global marketplace is changing rapidly. In the words of, I think, one of America's most unappreciated philosophers since his baseball season, Yogi Berra. As only Yogi could say, the future ain't what it used to be. And policymakers now have a challenge to try to keep up with and anticipate the needs of a service industry or run the risk of actually creating trade policies that hinder economic growth and job creation. Now here in the United States, trade policy, including services, is a central component of President Obama's overall strategy to jumpstart our economy and help to create and sustain job growth, as well as lay the foundation for future economic growth fueled more by what we produce, sell, create, and less than what we buy and consume. So I want to share with you 3 compelling numbers that sort of inform our work in the services arena every day. The first is pretty simple. I think you all know it. 8 out of 10. That's how many jobs in the U.S. economy are created throughout the service sector. Services account for the largest share of employment in every U.S. congressional district and city, and with jobs that pay on average annual compensation of more than $55,000 a year. Now, some of these jobs involve selling services to consumers overseas, and many more will in the future. Furthermore, services like information technology and logistics and express delivery support jobs in other sectors of our economy as well. These services enable everyone from farmers, ranchers, and manufacturers to grow and build better products and get them to markets not only in the U.S. but all around the world. The second number I want to talk about is one you've heard me speak of before, and that's 95%. The compelling reason that drives our trade policy is the reality that 95% of the world's consumers now live someplace other than the United States. So if we're going to continue to grow the economy and create jobs, the United States must remain a leader in shaping global economic policy and trade liberalization. The final number I want to talk about is $132 billion. And that's the services trade surplus that the United States had last year, when foreign customers bought over $500 billion worth of American services, from finance and insurance to energy and the environment. American service providers and industry leaders in everything from legal services to supply chain logistics.